I'm Jude, I'm a queer man in my mid-30s, and in an attempt to remind myself that life really actually is worth living, I've bought a house in the middle of nowhere and moved to the Scottish countryside. The cold I was preparing for last week has arrived. I know there are specific products on the market for this, but I already have the bubble wrap of the Tap Cozy, and it'll have to do. It was suggested by people with more foresight than me that maybe putting pine cones in my vegetable beds wasn't a good idea, unless I wanted to grow pine trees, and I'm not sure how tasty they are. The problem with getting under blankets to stay warm is it's very easy to just fall asleep on the sofa and then lose the entire afternoon, which may or may not have happened to me today. So in true Jude style, I've got about 10 minutes left of daylight and I've come outside to try and get something ticked off my to-do list. My neighbours have given me their old hen house, and I'm going to restore it and use it as supplementary accommodation for the shed I'm going to turn into a coop in the spring. Chickens will happen, but I need to build a run first, and that's not a job for frozen ground and 10 minutes of daylight. Could have been a mouse, was probably a leaf. They're basically the same thing. I decided I could probably finish the front of the bin in daylight, because storing posts in the dark didn't seem like a solid plan. I don't anticipate an overnight compost emergency, but you never know. I have 2 jobs to do this morning, and of course, both of them involve being outside. The instructions said easier with 2 people, and if that isn't a valid reason to start dating again, I don't know what is. Right, okay, that's good to know. I have no idea what the paint colour on the exterior woodwork is, so this will annoy me until this part of the cottage gets knocked down. This is Sven. He's a 6-year-old rescue cat that used to live out on a farm, but he needed rehoming after a relationship breakup. He hid behind the fridge for a solid 16 hours before relocating under the sofa, but I'm excited to have some company when he's decided I'm not a serial killer. And he's used to living with dogs, so that'll be perfect. And just like that, all my plans for the week went up in smoke. Or down in snow. Now the weather is getting colder and it's dark by 4:30, I need some inside projects to keep me busy over the winter. That's where Crafty, this week's video sponsor, come in. Crafty is your online resource for all things creative. Whether you want to pick up a new hobby, learn advanced techniques, or connect with other creative makers to share inspiration. With over 2,000 classes ranging from reading and understanding crochet patterns to getting started with upholstery, Crafty has something for everyone. I've been spending chilly afternoons getting my head around the basics of canning in Canning 101, and I'm looking forward to finally learning how to make sourdough, with homemade sourdough from starter to baked loaf. I am determined to go into 2025 with new skills under my belt. As a Black Friday special offer, the first 1,000 people to join Crafty using the link in the video description will get a full year of premium membership for $1.49, which is a huge discount on the usual price of $123. Now I just need to stop starting new things long enough so I can actually finish them. After 3 days of snow, the cabin fever had well and truly set in, which is the only explanation behind why I decided this was a good idea. I should probably have watched a video on how to shovel snow effectively, but how hard could it be? Clearly harder than I thought, as all I succeeded in doing was making a very icy path that was more slippery to walk on than it was when I started. I've come outside, I thought I'd make a snowman, I brought a carrot out with me and everything, but it turns out it's not quite the right kind of snow for a snowman. After 10 minutes, this is all I'd managed. I fear my career as a snowman maker is short-lived. You know you get more pets if you're not under the sofa. Yeah, you do. You get more pets if you're not under the sofa. Finally making progress. Now, if it had just stopped snowing long enough for me to be able to go and get a haircut, we'd both be happy. After being stuck inside for the best part of 4 days, with a cat who's been under the sofa for 90% of it, I was starting to go stir crazy. So, like any sensible human would do on a cold, gloomy day, I decided to go outside and build a shoe rack out of old pallet wood, just to see if I could.
Whenever I spend any time in the carport, rebuilding it creeps higher and higher up the priority list. I'm not entirely sure how it's still standing, but if I think about it too much, I won't be able to set foot in it, and it's very useful to work in on the wet days that Scotland is so fond of.
I was hoping to get my shoe rack finished, but I noticed that my shed roof is leaking, and not in the just one spot, put a bucket under it kind of leak, but in a the whole roof is soggy kind of leak. So it's raining, it's still icy, the snow is turning to slush, but there's still plenty of snow around, and I have to do something about it because I've got quite a lot of stuff in my workshop, tools, materials, the freezer, my tumble dryer, yeah, so I'll just be doing that for the rest of the day, I guess. I'm ready to go back to having cabin fever. I don't know where the kind of broom I want is, but this one's gonna have to do the job because it's all I can find right now.
My thinking was that if I brushed the snow off the roof, then at least the water would have more chance of running off, rather than just sitting and seeping in.
I brushed as much snow as I could off the shed roof. Unfortunately, one side is pretty inaccessible because the shed is too close to the old chicken shed and I can't get down between them. So I'm hoping that the weather, which is slowly warming up, I think it's highs of 6 degrees here today and it's still raining. I'm hoping that it will make the snow melt fairly quickly and it will run off the roof rather than sitting on it and slowly kind of seeping into the kind of corrugated bitumen felt type material that the entire building is constructed of. And it's fairly old and it's just kind of seeping through, which isn't ideal. I think in the spring I will either think about replacing the roof on the workshop shed or potentially replacing the entire thing. So that's something to think about and maybe draw some plans up for over the winter, and I'll deal with it when the weather's a little bit nicer.
Thanks for watching. See you next weekend.